The Philadelphia 76ers are in a good spot right now with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid as the cornerstones of their franchise. Ben Simmons is a 6'10 point guard who has raised his defensive level to an elite one. Joel Embiid is the best post player in the NBA when he's healthy, who also brings elite rim protection to the table. The franchise pieces in Philly have an interesting pairing to say the least. Although you can draw many positives from the Sixers, they've been a rocky team, from injured rookies to a lack of consistent cohesion between their players. Going into the season, most people had the Sixers as either the first or second seed in the Eastern Conference. Where they are right now in the NBA, the Sixers are placed at the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, meaning they will match up against the Boston Celtics in the first round of the NBA playoffs, when they should really be playing the Brooklyn Nets or the Orlando Magic, who are the 7th and 8th seeds. It's just unnecessary to have to play a team as good as Boston in the first round of the playoffs, when the Sixers should really be facing a lower seeded team. All the problems they've had this season have prevented the Sixers from being the team they're supposed to be this season, with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid as their duo, the young duo, and Kawhi Leonard now out of the Eastern Conference. This was the Sixers' year to actually show Philly fans and NBA fans in general something, to actually go far in the playoffs and show some type of grit in the playoffs. Now, I'm a Sixers fan, and I don't want the Sixers to bounce in the first round, but the fact of the matter is, the Boston Celtics have simply been a better team than the Sixers this season, with Kemba, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Gordon Hayward as their guys. A team that can go head-to-head with any team in the Eastern Conference, including the 76ers. Now, the series between Philly and Boston can really go either way, but I'm curious to see what the Sixers will do if they're bounced in the first round, which I think is a legit possibility, after being projected a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. The first option is to fire Brett Brown. When I say the Sixers should fire Brett Brown if they're eliminated in the first round, I'm not saying that Brett Brown is a terrible coach, but a first round exit for the 76ers would have forced them to make a change, and the first change to be made would have to be the head coach. When you have two players as good as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and you're having problems, the first option is not to trade your two franchise cornerstones. The two guys who are supposed to lead you into the future do not go as soon as you're having problems, but a much more replaceable guy like Brett Brown would need to be moved. If the Sixers are eliminated in the first round, a coaching change for next season can act as a culture change. Maybe a different coach would be able to be a bit more assertive, or something like Ben Simmons needs to attempt more jumpers, or Embiid with his health and how he's managing it. Possibly a coach who can hold their players accountable for their actions on the court. Jimmy Butler has talked about how he wanted out of Philly because he didn't know who was in charge. There was no real structure from the top. And if there's not structure from the top, the whole team is really going to be a mess. And whoever was in charge, whether it was Elton Brand, Brett Brown, or it could even be Tobias Harris, for all who knew. But a strong, more assertive head coach can give the guys someone to listen to. Can they add a bit more structure and can help guys look at someone with more respect from a coaching standpoint? Someone a bit less friendly won't let the players get away with as much. If the 76ers were to make any changes because of a potentially disappointing season, the first person to go would have to be Brett Brown. Ben Simmons, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Joel Embiid. The Philadelphia 76ers starting lineup. Like I said earlier, this lineup was supposed to take the 76ers to the first or second seed, or at the very least the third seed in the Eastern Conference. I'm sure you thought so too. The shortest player in this starting lineup is Josh Richardson, who stands at 6 feet 6 inches. A super tall defensive lineup who will cause matchup problems for any team trying to guard them. But we've seen a different 76ers team than most people expected, including myself. Having two centers in the starting lineup has proven to hurt the 76ers, or at least hurt more than it helped. I'm speaking of the pairing between Al Horford and Joel Embiid in the Sixers frontcourt. Al Horford has talked about the trouble he's had fitting into this team offensively, with Joel Embiid needing as much space as possible in the low post, as much space as possible to work in the paint. Horford is kind of left to figure out things for himself. His three-point shot is much more important now than it's been in the past, with the Sixers' desperate need for floor spacing. And with Embiid and Horford both being in the starting lineup, at least for most of the season, Horford's going to need to pop out to the three-point line and not to help with the spacing at least a little bit. Aside from Al Horford though, the 76ers offense in general has been very shaky from the eye test for me. A lot of times when I watch their game, it looks very random, like no player has any real certainty about their role in the team on the offensive side, like they're kind of just guessing every play. Most of the games they win come from all of their talent rather than how good and complete and cohesive they are as a basketball team. With this being said, if the Sixers are eliminated in the first round of the NBA playoffs, the second option after firing Brett Brown would be to trade Al Horford for more shooting. Now, like with Brett Brown, I'm not saying this is Horford's fault at all. He's always been a very productive player throughout his whole career and has not had any problems fitting into any team besides the Sixers. This is not his fault. The Sixers have a lot to figure out, and Horford is kind of just a victim of the 76ers mess. But the second option after firing Brett Brown is to trade Al Horford. This would free up some space in the court, and in return for Horford, the Sixers could receive more shooting, giving Embiid, Simmons, and Tobias Harris more room to work. A question that comes up a lot surrounding the 76ers is who they should build around, Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons, if the choice between the two is ever necessary for the 76ers. They're both very talented all-stars in the league, but the fit is not ideal. They both need to operate in the paint, and they haven't found that perfect fit yet to really maximize their potential. Ben Simmons is a point guard who refuses to attempt a three-pointer. Embiid has a shot from mid-range and from three, but you want him playing bully ball down low. You'd expect Ben Simmons, your point guard, to be the one helping with spacing more so than your big man. Although the Sixers' choice between Simmons and Embiid is one they may have to make in the future, it is way too early to ask that question. There are many things you can try to fix and change up before trading away one of your franchise pieces. So even if the 76ers are eliminated in the first round, Embiid and Simmons will stay on the team and will be there to run it back next season. Hopefully we won't have to worry about any first round exits for Philly though. In conclusion, the 76ers have been disappointing this season. A 6th seed when they were projected top 3 in the Eastern Conference. If Boston sends Philly home first round, some things will need to change. Some people will need to go. This roster is way too talented to even be in this position. But who do you have in the series, Boston or Philly? Thank you guys for watching. It's been Shoutout with Hoops Times 2. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you love NBA content. Peace out.